display in and through you. You can't do anything to change that. You can't make a bad decision to change that. Now, you think you can, you know, it's like if you can make a bad decision, do some things you think might not bring glory to God. I don't think you're powerful enough to do that. I don't think you're big enough and smart enough to actually steal glory from God, because Satan did that, or the devil, whatever, Lucifer, and guess what happened to him? It's like, he's still working for God. What did Jesus tell him? You shall worship the Lord your God, and him alone shall you serve. It's like, all things are going to work out. And we don't see it all right now. We see through a glass dimly, like Paul said. But we have been, we've been filled with everything necessary to glorify God by nature. You may think, well, what about my porn addiction? Or what about my alcohol use? Or what about, you know, whatever, you know, thing you're struggling with? Or whatever thing, you know, it's like, what about my gay son? Or, you know, it's like, I tried not to raise him that way. Or what about my, I mean, whatever, man. The glory of God is literally on full display through your gay son. Or he's literally on full display through you falling to your knees and coming to him for forgiveness when you screw up after you know, fall into your porn temptation, what the heck ever you're struggling with. Honestly, it's like, even if you have a real, if you think you have a real easy life, you don't really struggle with much, but there's little things like you can't, I don't know, I'm way going off on a rabbit trail here. I'm trying to come up with new ideas to make the conversation go longer. I don't need to do any of that. You get the point. God's glory is on full display. If you don't think it is, you just don't see it. It's a matter of perspective. If you can't see it, it doesn't mean it's not there. If I tell you there's a cup of water on the table because I've seen the cup of water on the table, you haven't seen the cup of water on the table, you can argue until you're blue in the face that there's no cup of water on the table, but I'm telling you, just because you haven't seen it doesn't mean it ain't there, because I've seen it. You know, and you've seen things I haven't seen. Hold on one second. Sorry, I had to pause the video there. Someone had to stop me and tell me my driver's side brake light on my trailer is out. I've been having issues with this trailer wiring. Anyway, back at it here. So, the glory of God is on display, whether you know it or not, believe it or not, like it or not, whatever. That said, when you have a question, or when you have a need, or when you have a request, when you're asking the Lord, yes, it is His will to fulfill the desires of your heart. We always have this, not we always, I'm generalizing here. Some of us are better than others in this category, and some of us just can't get over the struggles we have. In due season, God willing, in His strength, we'll all get over it. But, you know, a lot of times when you're going through a hard season and you're asking the Lord to, you know, pull you out of the olive press, or, you know, it's like, throw some water on the fire, you know, you're having, it's too much. I understand what you're thinking. If you're thinking, well, should I ask the Lord to provide more, or protect more, or should I ask Him to just give me a peace in this season? You know, instead of saying, Lord, calm the storm, Lord, can you give me some peace to sleep through the storm? You know, honestly, if you're in a position where you can't handle the storm, He's in a position and willing to calm the storm for you. I don't think He was reprimanding His disciples when He was sleeping in the boat and they woke Him up. Yeah, He said, you lack of faith, you know, you lack of faith, or however He said it. But He may not have been scolding them. It wasn't their fault that they didn't believe that God was in the boat with them. Like, that was their first experience with living through a storm that otherwise would have actually killed them, because these people were no strangers to being out on a boat. They were no strangers to weather. Many, if not all of them, were fishermen by trade, and they knew that this storm was going to kill them. And they were probably a little indignant that Jesus was sitting there sleeping. You know, like, dude, come up, get over here and help us row or something. You're sleeping. But he was just stating a fact that they didn't have the faith. And, okay, peace. Here you go. Maybe God prefers that we sleep through the storm. Like, maybe he prefers that we know him strongly enough or deeply enough that we can sleep like Jesus slept and just get through the storm, even though it may actually kill us or shipwreck us like Paul. Paul didn't ask for the storm to be, he didn't say peace to the storm, and if he did, we didn't see it in writing. But he lived. God had a plan for him. So obviously there is a season for all things. And I'm telling you, sometimes it is the will of God to calm the storm for you. Absolutely. But sometimes it's the will of God for you to be shipwrecked and move on. Get through it. You're gonna turn out just fine. Even if you die, you're gonna turn out just fine. Like I said, because life is a vapor. Now that may be a hard thing, and it may be discouraging, but it should be the most hope. It should be the most impregnated or pregnant thing with hope that I don't know, I've worded that terribly. It should be so pregnant with hope that you can feel it. Because he actually does want you to be filled with joy at this time, in this life, all the time. And in some cases, some circumstances, he wants to change them for you, to literally show you how much he loves you, especially in the times when you can't see why Jesus is sleeping in the boat. He wants to get up and calm the storm. That is the desire of his heart, to fulfill the desires of your heart, especially to bring you peace in a time of chaos. So don't be afraid to ask him to calm the storm. But beyond that, if you are a seasoned individual in the faith, feel free to sleep through it and just ask for peace. You should know that, like, whatever it is you need is already provided for. He knows better than you do. It may not look like what you think it's supposed to look like, but sometimes it's just a matter of waiting a day or two, or a season. And that ain't easy all the time. A lot of times that's harder. Obviously that's harder, when the storm has to rage on, you gotta sleep through it. But you can actually have a peace in that season that passes understanding, and in the end you may be more thankful that you had the peace through the storm instead of calling out peace to the storm, because what you've learned from that is so much richer and deeper and more valuable than if you just had a cakewalk, and I think the Lord gives us both situations at various times in our life. But at the end of the day, I'm ending the video here. I'm about to pull into the house. Tell me what you think about what I had to say in the comments. Let's talk about it. So, moral of the story: the glory of God and the love of God are not at odds with each other. God is fully glorified, and it is the desires of his heart to fulfill the desires of your heart. That's biblical. Figure it out. Read it. Take it to the Lord. Whatever. Obviously, I'm not in a position to be reading out scriptures, so at the end of the day, have a good one. Taste and see that the Lord is good. See you next time.